What if I told you that every joy, every heartbreak, every unexpected turn in your life has a deeper purpose? What if nothing, absolutely nothing, was random? And what if ancient Buddhist wisdom held the key to understanding why everything happens the way it does? Welcome to a journey of self-awareness, where we'll explore how Buddhist teachings offer profound insights into life's most confusing moments. This isn't just about philosophy. It's about transforming the way you see the world, and more importantly, the way you respond to it. According to Buddhism, nothing in life is accidental. Every experience, no matter how small, joyful, or painful, has meaning. There is a lesson, a message, a reason. When you begin to see life through this lens, something shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer a passive observer. You become a conscious participant in your own evolution. Let's begin with one of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism, the law of impermanence. Everything in life changes. Nothing remains static. Our emotions, relationships, seasons, even our own physical body are constantly evolving. In Buddhism, this truth is known as anicca, or impermanence. But here's the problem. We suffer because we resist this. We cling to the happy moments, wishing they would last forever. And we desperately try to escape the difficult ones, hoping they'll disappear instantly. Yet life doesn't bend to our will. It flows, like a river, never stopping, never clinging to one shape. Think of nature. A tree doesn't mourn the falling of its leaves in autumn. It lets go without resistance, knowing that spring will come again. A river doesn't freeze in place. It moves, adapts, continues. Can we do the same? Instead of fearing change, Buddhism teaches us to embrace it, to let go of what no longer serves us, to trust that even loss leads to renewal. When we accept impermanence, we free ourselves from the chains of fear and attachment. And what do we gain in return? We learn to enjoy the present moment without anxiety. We face hardship knowing it won't last forever. We find strength in flow, not resistance. True peace doesn't come from avoiding change. It comes from aligning ourselves with it, from surrendering to the rhythm of life rather than fighting against it. When we stop struggling and start flowing, we experience a tranquility that no external condition can take away. This isn't passive acceptance, it's courageous clarity. A deep understanding that every phase of life, no matter how challenging, is simply part of the journey, not the final destination. But there's another powerful truth in Buddhism that builds upon this. It's not just that everything changes, it's that everything we do, say, and think creates change. In the next section, we'll explore the profound and often misunderstood law of karma and how it shapes not only our future, but the energy we carry in every moment. In the previous section, we explored how impermanence teaches us to stop clinging and start flowing with the ever-changing rhythm of life. Now let's look at how every choice we make in that flow, every word, every thought, every action, leaves a ripple behind. This is the law of karma. Karma isn't about punishment or reward. It's about cause and effect. It's the understanding that we're not prisoners of fate. On the contrary, we are the authors of our own reality, shaping it moment by moment with the choices we make. If we've made mistakes, if we've caused harm to ourselves or others in the past, Buddhism reminds us, we are not bound to that past. We can begin again. Every single moment holds the potential for transformation if we choose to act with mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. There are three primary ways we generate karma: through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Each one creates an energetic imprint that influences not just our personal experience, but the world around us. A thought of hatred, no matter how private, doesn't disappear into nothingness. Left unchecked, it can take root, first in our language, then in our behavior. On the other hand, a thought of kindness or gratitude can blossom into gentle words and uplifting actions that ripple outward, creating peace. This is where mindfulness becomes essential. When we observe our inner world, our thoughts, our reactions with honesty and awareness, we start to see the patterns we've been repeating. If we constantly react with anger, we may notice how we attract more conflict into our lives. But if we respond with calm and clarity, we start to shift that energy. We create space for peace to grow. Karma isn't just personal, it's collective. The energy we send out affects our families, our communities, even the larger world. When we act with generosity, empathy, and patience, we're not just improving our own karma, we're helping build a more harmonious environment for everyone. One of the most important aspects of karma is intention. Two people can do the exact same thing, but if one acts from selfishness and the other from love, the energy they generate is entirely different. Buddhism teaches us that it's not just what we do, but why we do it that matters most. We are not defined by our past. The experiences and habits we've accumulated do not lock us in place. Every new day is a blank canvas, an opportunity to plant seeds of kindness, to speak with honesty, to act without expectation of reward. Even small gestures, a sincere smile, a helping hand, a few kind words, can have a profound impact. Just like a single drop of water creates ripples across an entire lake, each small act of goodness expands far beyond its origin. Karma invites us to take ownership, not blame, not guilt, not shame, but responsibility, the power to shift our future by adjusting our present. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of injustice or suffering. We often ask, why is this happening to me? But Buddhism flips that question on its head. What can I learn from this? What can I do now that leads to something better? Through that lens, every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. Every setback becomes a teacher, and we begin to move from victimhood into conscious creation. Karma reminds us that nothing we do is wasted. Every word, every thought, every choice leaves a mark, sometimes visible right away, other times hidden beneath the surface, waiting to bloom when the conditions are right. When we live with this awareness, we naturally begin to act with more intention, more integrity, more care. We stop moving blindly and start creating our lives with purpose. In the next section, we'll explore another core Buddhist teaching, attachment and suffering, and how learning to let go can be one of the most powerful forms of liberation. Because even with good karma, when we cling to what we can't control, we still suffer. So how do we release that grip and find peace? Let's find out. In the previous section, we explored how karma places the power of transformation in our hands, how even our smallest thoughts and actions carry ripples. Now, let's go deeper into one of the greatest teachings in Buddhism, acceptance, not as resignation, but as the key to peace amid life's uncertainty. Suffering often arises not because of what happens to us, but because of how much we resist it. Acceptance, on the other hand, teaches us how to flow through life with grace and clarity. In Buddhism, there's a profound understanding. Everything that happens, joyful or painful, is the result of a complex web of causes and conditions. Nothing is random. Nothing exists in isolation. And while we may not always understand the reasons behind an experience in the moment, each one comes carrying a hidden message. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" There's a Zen story that beautifully illustrates this. A farmer owned a single horse. One day it ran away. The neighbors came and said, "What terrible luck." The farmer simply replied, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it several wild horses. Now the neighbors celebrated. "What good fortune!" Again, the farmer answered, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" Soon after, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses, fell, and broke his leg. The neighbors were filled with sympathy. "What a disaster!" Yet again the farmer said, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" Weeks later, the army arrived in the village to recruit young men for war, but the son was spared due to his injury. Sometimes what appears to be a curse becomes a blessing. Sometimes what looks like good fortune brings unexpected consequences. Life is a flow, and only with time can we understand the full picture. Accepting life doesn't mean we remain passive. If something causes suffering and we can change it, we should. But if something lies beyond our control, fighting against it only creates more pain. Wisdom lies in recognizing the difference between the two, between what we can influence and what we must embrace as it is. This is where mindfulness and meditation come in. When we meditate, we practice observing thoughts and emotions as they arise, without judgment, without attachment. We begin to see that emotions are like passing clouds in the sky. They come, they go, and slowly we develop the capacity to accept reality with a calmer heart. One of the greatest sources of suffering is our attempt to change others. We want people to love us differently, to act the way we expect, to think the way we do. But each person has their own path, their own process. When we stop trying to control people and begin to accept them, light and shadow alike, our relationships naturally soften and become more peaceful. Of course, acceptance doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment. If someone harms us, we are not obligated to accept their behavior, but we can accept that this is who they are in this moment, and from there, choose how we want to respond, without expecting them to change for us to be at peace. And just as we learn to accept others, we must also learn to accept ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, constantly judging, punishing, wishing we were someone else. But self-compassion is not weakness, it's strength. Accepting ourselves doesn't mean we stop growing. It means we stop fighting ourselves and start walking with kindness, hand in hand with who we are becoming. Life will inevitably bring loss, failure, and disappointment. But it will also bring growth, joy, and unexpected gifts. Peace comes not from having control over every outcome, but from accepting both light and shadow with the same serenity. When we let go of the need to resist, we release an invisible weight we've been carrying. The world no longer feels like a battle we need to win, but a river we can learn to trust. Acceptance isn't an end, it's a practice. It begins with small things, traffic, weather, delays, misunderstandings, and slowly we prepare ourselves to accept life's greater changes with calm and wisdom. True freedom doesn't come from controlling the world, it comes from flowing with it. When we cultivate acceptance, we learn to live with more lightness, less tension, and a deep peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. But what about those moments that do shake us deeply? What about suffering that seems to have no meaning at all? In the next section, we'll explore how even life's darkest moments can carry hidden lessons, and how Buddhism helps us uncover the deeper meaning in adversity. In the last part, we explored how even the hardest moments can become our greatest teachers, if we're willing to listen. Now, let's continue that path of inner growth by learning to transform pain into wisdom and adversity into strength. Pain is inevitable, but whether we let it consume us or allow it to reshape us, that's a choice. In life, we may not always get what we want, but somehow, we always receive what we need in order to evolve. A relationship ending might push us to discover the strength of our independence. A professional failure could be the sign we need to change direction and follow a more aligned path. A health scare might remind us that we've neglected our body, our rest, our peace of mind. In the moment, these experiences can feel heavy, even unbearable. But with time, they often reveal their hidden purpose. Looking back, how many events in your life once felt like a setback, but turned out to be the push you needed? The key is not to stay stuck in complaint or despair. Instead, Buddhism invites us to ask, what is this here to teach me? Is this difficulty showing me that I need more patience, that I need to release control? Or is it preparing me for something greater down the road? The mind naturally resists pain. We avoid it, deny it, or rush to escape it. But when faced with awareness, pain can become a powerful force of purification. It's like fire that melts away the unnecessary, leaving behind only the gold of our true self. If criticism wounds us deeply, perhaps it's a sign our self-worth is still seeking outside approval. If a loss shatters us, maybe it's an invitation to practice the art of letting go with love. Every emotion, every ache, is a mirror, reflecting the parts of us that still long to be seen, understood, and healed. This doesn't mean giving up. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It means seeing adversity not as punishment, but as a teacher on our path. We always have a choice, to view obstacles as curses or as calls to grow. That choice shapes our experience. An empowering practice is to reflect on the hardest moments in your life and ask, what did I learn? Maybe that heartbreak taught you resilience. Maybe that failure led you to discover your true values. Even the deepest wounds can carry meaning if we look at them through the lens of learning. Instead of saying, why me? What if we asked, what for? This simple shift in perspective has the power to free us. We stop seeing suffering as something to escape and begin to see it as a step toward greater clarity, strength, and understanding. When we face life with this mindset, we become more calm, more centered. We no longer run from pain, but walk through it with open eyes. Because the truth is, every experience, no matter how difficult, is preparing us for something greater. Every storm, every loss, every moment of uncertainty is shaping us, deepening us, awakening us. When we choose to trust that nothing is by chance, we stop fearing adversity. We begin to see it as part of our growth, our transformation. Every challenge becomes a doorway to a new level of awareness. The only question is, will we have the courage to step through? And that courage, to face life as it is, with presence and awareness, brings us to one of the most powerful tools in Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness. In the next section, we'll explore how living fully in the present moment can reconnect us with peace, reduce suffering, and help us experience life with greater joy and clarity. In the previous part, we discovered that peace doesn't come from controlling life, it comes from being present with it. Now let's deepen that presence by exploring the practical power of mindfulness and how it can gently transform our everyday reality. Learning to calm the mind and focus on the present moment isn't always easy, especially at first. Our thoughts pull us in every direction, reliving the past, worrying about the future, replaying conversations, imagining scenarios. But with practice, we start to notice something powerful. We're not stuck with those thoughts. We can observe them. We can choose where to place our attention. A simple yet profound mindfulness exercise begins with the breath. Just sit quietly and pay attention to the way air flows in and out. Don't try to control it, just notice. When your mind inevitably wanders, and it will, gently bring your focus back to the breath. This quiet return again and again is how we build the muscle of awareness. Mindfulness doesn't mean you have to clear your mind or eliminate all thoughts. That's a myth. Instead, it teaches us to relate differently to our thoughts, to observe them without clinging or pushing them away. Picture your mind as a vast, open sky. Each thought is like a passing cloud. Some clouds are dark, heavy, and stormy. Others are light and fleeting. But no matter how many pass through, the sky remains untouched. That is the essence of mindfulness. We become the sky, not the storm. As we begin to live this way, something beautiful happens. We realize how much unnecessary suffering we carry. So many of our worries aren't rooted in the present moment. They're tied to stories about the past or anxieties about what might happen next. But the present, the now, it's almost always manageable and often even peaceful. Another gift of mindfulness is its ability to create space between stimulus and response. Have you ever snapped at someone without thinking, or reacted in anger, only to regret it later? That's a sign of living on autopilot. But with mindfulness, we gain a pause, a breath, in which we can choose a wiser response. In Buddhism, it's said that every moment is an opportunity to awaken. We don't need to sit on a mountain or retreat into silence for weeks. We can practice mindfulness while washing our hands, sipping tea, walking through a park, or simply noticing the sound of a bird. Every ordinary moment becomes sacred when we meet it with full attention. Many people chase happiness like it's something waiting for them at the finish line. Once they get the perfect job, the ideal partner, the big success. But happiness doesn't live in the future. It lives in the quality of our awareness now. And if we don't learn how to be present, we'll spend our whole life missing the very thing we were seeking. Living with mindfulness helps us rediscover beauty in the everyday. The aroma of a warm meal, the way sunlight dances across a wall, the smile of a stranger. These tiny moments, often overlooked, become gifts when we slow down enough to notice them. Of course, mindfulness won't magically make problems disappear, but it will give you the clarity and calm to face them with less fear and more wisdom. It's not about escaping life. It's about engaging with it more fully. And you don't need to start big. Begin with small steps. Take one mindful breath before you get out of bed. Pay full attention as you drink your morning coffee. Look into the eyes of someone you love and really listen. These are not trivial acts. Over time, they reshape how we experience life. Mindfulness is not some abstract theory. It's a practical tool, a compass that guides us back to the here and now. A gentle reminder that peace is not a future destination. It is already here, waiting in the present. And when we truly begin to live this way, we discover something even more profound, that the transformation of our outer world begins with the quiet revolution within our own mind. In the next section, we'll explore how Buddhism teaches us to work with the mind itself, how to transform pain into insight, and how to walk the path from suffering toward inner freedom.